All right, so my name's Maurice Benard. This is State of Mind. And if you like what you see, I know you're going to like what you see on the other end. Just hit the button. You can subscribe to... I can't say subscribe. Let me try it again. Subscribe to State of Mind. So, anyway, who I have here is Bryan Craig. And Bryan played my son on General Hospital. We'll get into that later. But him and I became very close. I think the world of him. I think he's just talented. And here we are.
It's good to see you, man.
Wow.
It's been a really long time.
Wow. This is amazing. What I want to do, Bryan, is I want to start kind of like, you grew up in Florida, right?
Yeah,
you were born in Florida. You know, I love Florida.
Do you?
I did.
I can't say the same.
Really?
Well, you know, the grass is always green.
I know.
Nah, it has its ups and downs. I mean, I think Florida, you know, Miami and stuff like that is fun for younger people and to visit and stuff. But you know, Florida's, don't shoot me for saying this, but it's mostly a retirement state. You know. It's a very kind of low key place to live, other than Miami. So, you know, when I go back, I go to Miami, but my family lives in like West Palm and stuff, which is a little more chill. But you know, it's all right. It's sunny, I guess. You know?
Yeah, the weather. When I went, I stayed in this like house and it had like a pool inside the house.
In the house? Well, not everybody lives Florida like you, Maurice. Right? That doesn't sound so bad.
But it was cool, and the weather. And then we went to like this private island, and I don't know where this island was, but it was like, it was so beautiful. The water was amazing. It took a while to get there. I had to get there on a boat.
Oh wow! You didn't swim there?
Nah, yeah. I can't swim too good. I just love it there. But maybe it's one of those things like when I lived in New York, I didn't love New York. Okay. But I love to visit New York. Right. Because of the way it's, you know.
See, opposite for me. I love New York.
Do you?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's, you know, I lived here in LA for the majority of my grown-up life. I think I was here 10 or 11 years. And, you know, that feeling of, especially coming from Florida or anywhere else, coming out to LA, it's like this dreamland, you know. You're coming out here to tackle your dream, and with millions of other people that are doing the same thing. There's like this magic, you know. And then just like anywhere else, after you live there for a while, it kind of just becomes another place you live. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But for me, and you can understand this, like being in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles, it's kind of hard to get away from it. It kind of feels like you're just like anything you do. You go out to a bar, you go out to a restaurant, you just can't get away from it.
Everything reminds you.
Yeah, or everything or everyone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got to a point where I was like, I just need to get out of LA and breathe a little bit. So that's when I went to New York, you know. And I love New York because all my friends and all my people in New York, the majority of them, they're not in the entertainment industry. They own restaurants, they do real estate, they do whatever. So it's kind of like a breath of fresh air for me to be around people that do other things, you know? And then it's like I go to do my work, you know? And it's kind of nice that like no one really understands what I do, you know what I mean?
But what about when it's cold? It's cold.
Well, I dipped out before the winter, so I can't even talk about that. I hear that's terrible.
And when it's hot, it's humid.
Yeah. I got out in the right time, you know. I didn't go through the winter, so.
So when you grew up, how was it growing up? Your family, the whole thing.
You know, look.
I like to talk about how you were disciplined. I can get into that a little bit.
So, you know, I grew up with a very loving family. I got everything I needed. You know, my dad was a firefighter. My mom was, she worked in medical billing for a long time. We lived a nice, normal life. You know, by no means were they rich. By no means was I poor.
Right.
My family has its issues. You know, there's how do I put this? There's a lot of aggression in my family. There has been my whole life.
And your nationality?
My mom's Cuban and my dad's American, German Irish.
Wow.
And they've been together since high school. They're still together now. But you know, just like any family has its problems, my family has its problems, and I've definitely had to learn how to cope with that and deal with that and step away from that and also step into that when I need to help out. And it's been a lot easier, I think, to do in my adult life than when I was younger.
Of course.
When I was younger, I used to get, panic attacks and stuff like that from all the stress, from all the anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety.
So you had panic attacks when you were...
Oh, really bad, to where like the ambulances had to come.
No!
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't get them anymore, really. I just recently had one, and it's like the first time in like, I don't even know, 15 years. But yeah, I used to get them for sure.
So when you're, oh man, look, I didn't have my first anxiety attack. I mean, I had nervous breakdowns and my story. But I didn't have a panic attack till I was like in I think my first one was like in my 40s.
Right.
And I didn't know what it was. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown.
Right.
I was like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a plane. I'm like, oh no, I'm having a breakdown on a plane.
Right.
But it was a panic attack. I cannot imagine what it would be like to go through panic attacks when you're little.
Well, let me say this. I think, look, I'm not a professional, but just talking about through what I experienced when I had them, I feel like a panic attack versus like a nervous breakdown is, like you just said, like being on a plane makes you uncomfortable, or being here or there makes you uncomfortable, and that gives you the nervous and breakdown, right? I think what did I just
panic
say?
attack?
Yeah, panic attack is what I had was more like you're bouncing in between emotions that you don't know which one to pick or how to handle. It almost feels like there's four walls.
And
it's like, I can't go there, I can't go there, I can't go there, I can't go there.
And it's all here,
emotionally though, not physically.
Right.
And at that point your body just kind of explodes.
Yes.
And so that's what would happen to me. And the only thing that really that would keep them, from coming or stopping them was like learning how to breathe.
Exactly.
Breathing is like one of the most powerful things I've learned, if you can control your breath and stuff, because even if sometimes you notice if you hold your breath, you start to get dizzy.
Yeah.
And when I used to get these attacks, like I would get dizzy because you're holding your breath or you're breathing too hard and stuff. So.
And how long would they last?
I mean, they would usually last probably like in entirety, probably 15 minutes or something, until the ambulance came or someone calmed me down or I breathed into a bag, like stuff like that.
That's amazing. I mean, it's like, if you can imagine, like what I just went through during the major part of the pandemic, whatever you felt for 15 minutes, it never left me for 4 months. 4 months, Brian.
See. That's the thing. The duration of what you go through is a lot longer. These are quick. They're sharp, but
I know the quick.
Yeah.
And the quick are hard and terrible, but you get through it and you breathe and you're done.
I couldn't imagine
this thing,
something like that.
But the reality is, we can go through anything, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
If you have the right skills and know what to do, you can get through anything, even though we think we can't.
Well, it's funny because I just recently posted this. I've been doing like a lot of reflecting and trying to figure myself out and just things out in general. And like, there's that cliche everyone says that time heals all. And in my opinion, I really don't know if that's true. I think time just teaches us how to deal with the problem or the pain.
I saw that post.
You know what I mean?
And I love that post.
It's true because you never really get it's always somewhere within you.
Yeah.
And it can come out again.
Yeah.
But I think time just pushes it down further, and you learn how to kind of
That's
cope
right.
with it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
I was gonna steal that post.
Yeah, it's just it made sense to me. You know?
No,
I was
great...
laying in bed and I was just like, man, fucking time heals all, because it's been some time and like I still feel this pain. Like it's accessible if I want it to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is also, you know, I was thinking this, man. It's so sick what we do, because it's all investments into our craft. As fucked up as that seems, like, but I've been on set before, you know, and the demand for the scene or the story or whatever was something really painful and heavy, and in order to do that truthfully, you got to go somewhere and find it. Now, those things that you want so you can access them on set, it sucks because you have to go through them, you know, so you got to be careful what you ask for, because I remember being on set and being like, man, I really wish I had some pain to access, and I don't have, and say, you'll get it, you know.
But the thing is, Bryan, what I've learned, you know, I'm almost 60 now. You're still a young pup.
Yeah.
Is you don't have to. It's there.
Yeah.
And that's when you start knowing that you're enough. Early on as an actor, I was like, even every scene that I did, not every scene, every emotional scene, crying scene, it was to win an Emmy.
Right. Well, hey, that's what I was doing when I was there, you know? I was the young blood, and like everything I did was, I gotta get this Emmy. Like,
and it's not good enough until the tear comes out.
Exactly. That's, you know it. The ingredients, like the recipe is like, you shed a tear, you win an Emmy.
But the truth of the matter is, now I know, and I just did the storyline on Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And it was great, one of my favorite. But you just be, man.
Yeah.
And if it comes, it comes. It doesn't, it doesn't.
You know,
no thinking of pushing.
It's so true. Like the best way to go about it is just be as present as you can be in that scene and what's happening.
Yeah.
Because you can use substitution, and like I have used substitution, and that works.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you dig for that thing, and it's like, it's just not affecting me right now. But if you let what's right in front of you affect you.
That's right.
But you also got to have a good teammate, you know? Because if you got someone in front of you that's giving you shit, like, you're not going to get lost.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
And trust me, I've been on GH for 27 years. There's sometimes you're doing scenes and it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Then you have to go to your bag of tricks.
Exactly. Then you got to go to the bag of tricks.
Let me think of my wife. Let me think of my dog that died yesterday.
Exactly. It's like the last resort, you know? But I got lucky, man. And I mean this. Like, I had you, and dude, it was always so easy to play with you. It didn't matter what they threw us. Like, it was there. And I got lucky enough too, man. I'll tell you, with the last show I did, Grand Hotel, Damian Bashir. I mean, this guy's been nominated for an Academy Award. You know, it hit him and I don't know why, but it's like every project I do, I'm at odds with my father. And it fucking works, man. Like, it always. If the guy playing my dad can come with it, like it's always magic, you know. And this guy reminded me of you a lot. Yeah. Even, it was funny because remember when I first was on GH, how you kind of wouldn't talk to me and like you're kind of an asshole. This guy, this guy was the same, man. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, you know, because I always try to I always figure let's get along first, and then we can fuck things up after that.
Yeah. And
this guy wanted nothing to do with me at first, you know, and then I think we started acting, and then that's when he was like, this.
Yeah. Well, the thing with we might as well get into it. With Bryan is there was a screen test for somebody to play my son. And I watched the screen test, and there was another guy that I thought was great.
Right.
And then, of course, my producer didn't hire him. but it turned out I was wrong, right?
Right.
Okay. But, so I'm like, they didn't hire the guy I like, and this other guy, I don't know about this guy. And then what happened is the first day that we did a scene together, I was watching and I said, oh man, he's good. I said, he's good. Okay. And then we eased into each other nicely, slowly. and then it just became a real father-son relationship. And the beauty of what Bryan did, but I always believed in Bryan after that first scene. I always believed in him. You know, I believed in him, and I saw him, this guy's talent. It was a big talent. And then they gave him the bipolar story. Now, if anybody out there, it's not easy to play mental illness. Let me tell you. I mean, I've done it, but I am mentally ill, and I'm bipolar and anxiety and depression. So I can tap into all that. I've lived it. So, but Bryan came in, and he did it. And it was not easy, right, Bryan?
No.
I mean,
and it wasn't easy, man, too, because you got to consider, like, with a daytime show, it's so consistent. You know what I mean? As far as you're filming a lot per day, there's not a lot of hiatuses, you know. And I did it for what? We were on that storyline for 2 years, you know, something like that. So it takes a toll. I remember there was actually when you're playing someone else more than you're being yourself. Actually, it starts to get a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
You know, I was playing Morgan more than I was being Bryan at this point in my life.
Yeah.
There was even points where I started to go, maybe I am a little bit bipolar. Like, you know what I mean? You start to actually lose yourself a little bit. And also, it depends on how much you allow yourself to get lost in it. But with anything I do, I like to dive in pretty deep, because then you're just living it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's dangerous, but
it's dangerous in your real life.
Yeah.
But it makes the acting easier.
Yes, exactly. Which is like, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that, as good as it felt, man, because I just knew we were making magic. Like, I would go home and be like, "Fuck, man, I'm dead." Like, every day, I'm dead.
Yeah.
You know. It's
you were
tough.
doing some. Your engine was running at 5th gear,
dude.
As that character, I remember the scene. It was great. I've talked about it before, but remember you did a scene where you had to do this monologue, and I didn't feel it was working, so I took you aside, and you said, "Well, what do I do?" I said, "Just think of Eminem."
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Think of Eminem.
Yeah, like rapping.
Yeah. You don't even know what's coming out. You just saying the lines. Because when you're manic, there's times where you're talking a mile a minute, and the person in front of you is going, "What is he? What's going on?"
Yeah.
But you don't even see that.
Exactly.
Because you're just so
rapid fire. Like, and that's the other thing too. Like, it's hard to write that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they did a great.
It's really hard to write that shit, and sometimes, like, it's not even that the writing isn't good, but it's really got to fit into these, like, mannerisms and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, the way the dialogue is broken up or stuff can really, like, make it complicated.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, you know, it takes a village just to make that bipolar story work. You know what I mean?
Well, you won 2 Emmys.
I think it worked.
Yeah, so it worked.
I think it worked.
How you feeling now, bro?
I feel good, man. I feel, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel okay. You know, 2020 was a disaster. It was a nightmare. You know, I'm sure it was for everybody. And now I'm back in LA after not being here for a year. You know, and I think the only thing I can really focus on, the only thing that gives me calm, that makes me feel good right now, is work, you know? And it's tough because the way the industry's changed, there's no more preparing and going to an audition. There's no more meetings. There's no more, you gotta have a home studio like this to film this shit, to send it to them, which takes time to set up, which takes another actor to be available, which takes, so it's a production every time you get an audition, and it's stressful. And then you got the whole thing, for me, is like, I'm not nervous. I love going into a room. I love giving people me and then saying, all right, let's do the scene. Like, let's work this. Yeah. You don't have that luxury anymore. No. It's just, you want a tape, and who knows how many other fucking tapes they're getting. And it's tough, man. Yeah. It's really fucking tough. Like, you really have to put out your best work right now. And I think that's good because it's making me really, really, really like zone in on the work and the craft and stuff right now, you know. But
what about anxiety? Anything?
Dude, you know, like I'll be brief about it, but I just went through a really tough thing in my life, a really, really bad relationship, betrayal, which almost ended in losing my life. I won't get into it too much, but I was, you know, in Mexico City, and it just wasn't good. And I took the first flight back here, and I'm recovering. You know, I'm on 4 weeks away from the actual event now that happened, and it's tough, man. It's tough. Yeah, I feel like I could break down and cry, but my emotions just aren't even there anymore. I'm so fucking drained from it, man.
Really?
Yeah.
But you know, crying is good, bro.
I know, but you can only cry so much, man. You can only piss, cry, you know, so much.
But you know, I always say that the tears are strength. You know, and we have to stop thinking that. We have to always make the negative the positive. And I know for me, crying is amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking.
It feels good once you do it, but it also sometimes can feel like you just ran 6 miles. You know.
I know, man.
And the thing is like I said, I'm here back in LA, focusing on work. So it's like I try to not let that creep into my head, because it can kill a whole day for me. You know, and I don't got a day to kill right now. Like I'm trying to keep it moving. You know, I got a movie. I got some good news, which has been the light in this month. I got a movie that I star in that got into South by Southwest. So in March, I have a movie premiering in South by Southwest.
Oh, cool.
And we start doing publicity and stuff for that in like a week or so. So, you know, I'm focused on that. You know, there's new shows and stuff coming out now that I'm reading for. I'm focused on that. But, yeah, man, I can't let these demons, you know, out because they put me down right now. And then I can't do the work, you know? Yeah,
like it seems to me like if you it's almost like you're going running at 100 miles an hour, and you probably feel if you stop, you'll crash.
You want to stop at the bench and take a rest, but that'll be the day, you know.
But you got to, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
As your father.
Thanks, Dad. Hey, that's what sleep's for, you know. I try to do that when I sleep.
How are you sleeping?
Not great, you know. Not great. I've gotten better. Like, you know, this has never happened to me before, and I don't want to take credit away from the people that experienced this, that came back from war, something, you know, crazy, but PTSD. And from the traumatic experience I had, I've been experiencing what I think might be PTSD. I mean, I often wake up sweating, crying, screaming, stuff like that. It doesn't happen every night, but at least twice out of the week. So that obviously makes it hard to sleep. On top of that, I've always been an insomniac. I just have a really hard time sleeping.
I know, you've told me that before.
So that's tough, man, because I'm not one of those people that can get 3 hours of sleep and operate on 100%, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I feel like I'm operating on like 60%, which is tough, you know?
But I will say, Bryan, I mean, and not to think lightly on this, because sleep, for me, that, you know, as far as being manic, I mean, being bipolar, manic depressed, that's what it used to be called. But even what's his name, the guitarist, Jimi Hendrix, had a song called Manic Depression.
Did he really?
Yeah, so man, they knew that way back when.
In the day,
but nobody, you know, I was like, but I know from depression, anxiety, bipolar, manic episodes, all that stuff, it all stems from, you got to know your triggers, and it's stress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? And if sleeping, I'll speak for myself. I know when when sleeping is not good, I'm in trouble.
Me too.
Me too.
And you know what's fucked up about that is, like, you don't have a choice in it, because sleeping can either be a great thing or it can put you back. It can set you way back because you can't control your dreams, you know. So if you get a good night's sleep, maybe you don't have a dream, maybe you have a nice dream, or maybe you live a fucking nightmare through your sleep. That can be worse than even going to bed.
Yeah, I get you.
You know what I mean?
I get you.
Because it's a short period of time, and I don't know about you, but I have extremely vivid dreams, and they can either be great or they can be real fucking bad.
That's interesting.
So it's a gamble when I go to bed at night, and I get anxiety when I go to bed at night because I know I have no control over what might happen in my mind when I close my eyes, and it will depend on how my whole next day goes.
You know that. Listen, this is very interesting because I've never talked about sleep like this. I have. Okay, the joke is when you're watching TV late at night and those commercials come on. If you're bipolar 1, if you have anxiety, I have it all. All commercials are what I have. Check. All of them.
Yeah.
And I have sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that I used to wake up, among other things, but I used to wake up and think I was blind?
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't open my eyes, and I'd wake up and like, but it was like, it was horrible. Man. But I went to the sleep apnea guy.
Yeah.
And I have sleep apnea. Now I have a machine.
That's when you forget to breathe.
Yeah, and you can have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it lately, but when I had that bad thing during the pandemic, the anxiety, I started using it again, and it helped me. But it's a whole thing. It's a mask.
It's a mask, right?
Yeah, but I should be using it. That's my problem. Let me tell you my problem, Brian. When I get in bad shape, and I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to say it to you because I've said it on State of Mind a lot, but I don't care. I'll say it to you because it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Paula says to me, it's all the time, but especially this last time, Paula says to me, when she sees me in bad shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say to her, well, I can't go on, honey. I don't think I can go on. One thing she said to me that helped me, which is, honey, you know that every time you've said you can't go on, 100% of the time you've gone on?
That's a good point.
Right? And I was like, okay, helped.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hearing little things like that.
Right?
And I mean, let me tell you one thing I've learned in my recent experiences. I've never experienced narcissism. Someone who's a narcissist, right? And to me, that always just meant someone that was into their looks, looked at themselves too much. And I think it's one of the sickest things out there that someone can have. And we hear about all these things like bipolar and people that are sociopaths and stuff. And a narcissist, a psychopath is someone who has no empathy, who can kill someone just like making an omelet. It's the same to them. But a sociopath is an emotional serial killer. They won't take your life, but they'll make you want to take your own life.
Yeah, wow. And
I experienced that recently with somebody, and it's fucked me up, man.
Wow.
It's fucked me up. It's got me confused about who I am, the problems I have, my confidence. I mean, they really, sorry, I'm a little shaky.
It's all right.
It's a big fucking problem, man, and I think it's really underplayed. I don't think a lot of people really know how dangerous of an issue that is. Wow. It's bad, but yeah, dude. You live and you learn, I guess.
Yeah.
There's everyone has their issues, and all of them are they're all not to take lightly. They're all pretty serious stuff,
So Bryan, what I like this to be, and I think it's I think it's getting there, and I like this to be like comfortable therapy.
Yeah,
you come in
like a therapy session between friends.
Right. Yeah. And I think we today was that that felt that way for me.
100%. It's easy for me too because I know there's pretty much anything I can talk about that either you've been through or you understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Which makes it comfortable.
Right.
Beyond us being friends, So
right. And
you've been through it all. Mo.
Yeah, like I told you, I've been through every freaking commercial that's late at night.
Exactly.
If you have psoriasis,
check.
Anyway, it's been great, man. Great.
It's always great, man.
It's
I
really,
appreciate you having me. It's been it's felt good to sit here and let this stuff out.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you came in, you had a certain look, and now you have a different look.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
It helps to talk, man.
Right?
I had a whole bag of shit for you. We got through pretty much all of it, so
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.